What's going on, everybody? This is Spartacris, and I'm here with the Generational Gaming and Entertainment Network. And as you can see, I think he's on this side. Today, I have a guest, one of my good friends and a big-time gamer, and I brought him on for his expertise in a Mortal Kombat deep dive since the movie just came out. Sean, give a quick what's up. Give a quick GG.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
So Sean and I go back a long time. And we've been gamers specifically in the fighting game arena for a while. And Mortal Kombat's always been one of the top dogs, that and Tekken. But before we get into that, Sean, I want to get into a few other things. Are you all caught up on Captain America? Or I'm sorry, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I keep wanting to call it Captain America because he becomes Captain America at the end.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think of the show? What do you think of the show overall, since this is the first time on and we had the entire season now passed?
Yeah, overall, the show is a really good show. I like the show. I like some of the points they go over in the show and how they kind of, work their story. I felt like it was a little too short. I mean, like,
I totally agree.
Was it 6 episodes, I think?
6 episodes, so.
It could have been 8 or 12 or 13. I think it could have went on for a lot longer.
I agree. I feel like they rushed some of the storylines because of that.
Yeah, I think when we start discussing the finale, I think that really comes into play. I feel like they really rushed it at the end, but...
Well, I mean, let's go right into it. I have a picture up of let's first talk about the outfit, the new Captain America costume. What do you think?
I like that it's almost comic accurate, but the helmet, or what you would call whatever's on his face.
What is that called? Because it comes up from the neck. Bulky? It comes up to like here.
Yeah, exactly. It's a little too. It looks too big, almost like it doesn't fit him nicely. So it looks kind of awkward. Everything else looks great. I think they could almost just get rid of that headpiece or the jaw piece. And
yeah, I don't even know what you would call it. I actually think I kind of agree with you. I didn't really. There was some when I first saw it, I was all like, "Wow, that just looks amazing." And you're right. It's probably one of the more comic book accurate costumes in the MCU, but. There was something off about it, and now that you mentioned that specific piece, I agree with that 100%. It almost looks like, to me, it seems like it gives him the old Batman thing where he can't really turn his neck, so he's got to like do the whole,
yeah.
Like it almost feels weird. And plus, like, isn't it safer to have a helmet?
Yeah, I guess, but Captain America's helmet was never really a helmet, anyways. I guess it was just a little bit of looked like rubber or latex on him, so it probably didn't protect anything.
It was like a helmet, like the athletes used to wear before helmets were actually real. Like just a little piece of, like a little skull cap, basically. Just a blue skull cap and an A on it.
Not much to.
So what did you think then of the U.S. agent, about his costume?
U.S. agents looked pretty good again, but it also didn't look like it changed. But I mean, he kind of joked about it. Said, "Well, you just made it black."
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I forgot he said that.
Accurate.
You know what? To me, it's like I guess that's how it looks in the comics. Mm-hmm. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. It's basically a black Captain America outfit instead of blue, and then the flag is more triangular.
Right.
And it was about accurate. It was a triangular flag. It looked good.
I almost feel like the U.S. agent costume was a little too comic book accurate. I felt like they could have done just a little bit more to make it look more like a tactical, similar to the way Captain America's outfit looked in the original movie. I think they could have made it a little more menacing looking by making it a little bit bulkier and more of like a actual tactical outfit.
Yeah. It would be cool, if they did something like that, added some little pieces or something, ammo clips or something like that, where, or ammo on the belt or something like that might have looked pretty cool. But they just want to go with the comic accurate character. Cool, right?
So you made a good point before about it's just too short. I 100% agree with that. I feel like once they said they were going to do 6 episodes, I felt like it would only do the story or the character justice if it was an hour each episode, and they didn't do that.
Which it was.
What'd you
say? All the episodes were longer than like WandaVision, for example. There were some episodes in WandaVision are 22, 23 minutes. At least these were all, I think, 49.
They were, around, but I don't know. I just feel like there was too much, or maybe they tried to squeeze too much in just 6 episodes.
Yeah.
It almost felt like, and this was my same opinion about WandaVision by the end of WandaVision. I felt like, or I feel like, while the shows start off strong, they end up setting up, they're more set up for future movies or future stories. And they're not just telling their own story.
I don't know about WandaVision, but I think this is definitely leading into a sequel series.
Well, they already
So that
announced
should be
Captain
cool.
America 4. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did.
So I guess that's going to be the continuation of Sam as Captain America, and I'm assuming it'll continue
Right.
Zemo and Winter Soldier and all that stuff. I assume.
Right,
We
but they
don't
could
know
also do
information.
a second season, which would be more just Falcon and Winter Soldier too, maybe.
I wouldn't hate that. I wouldn't hate another season. But I guess if they announced the movie already, it's I assume they plan on taking those characters
Yeah,
back into the yeah.
that's where it goes,
So
right?
overall, I liked it. I want to say for me personally, I think I liked the beginning of WandaVision better. I feel like the mystery and like I got kind of swooped up in the whole trying to guess who the big bad was and all that stuff. But I didn't. But I felt
Yeah,
the show didn't end as well as Falcon and Winter Soldier did, or I should start saying Captain America and Winter Soldier, because I felt like while this show maybe started off a little slower, it ended more strongly, if that makes sense.
yeah. I think it ended pretty strong. I still feel like they rushed the last episode and they didn't really include a lot of stuff that they could have.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
if you notice, Sam's best friend, I forget the name, but his
Torres,
correct
right?
name for the comic character, yeah, is the Falcon in the comics later on too. So,
Right.
and he said keep your wings at one point. So I assume they're going to make him into the new Falcon.
Right. I guess that they
But
felt that was
they
enough,
could
right?
have put it in there. Hmm?
Just a little sign. Maybe show him working on the wings. Just give us something.
Yeah, it'd be cool. It would be nice to give you something.
Right.
And I actually read. I don't know if you read about the supposedly leaked alternate ending, which had another after credit scene.
I did not read that. No.
So people were saying online, I don't know how true it is, that uh, Green Goblin from the new No Way Home movie, whoever's that's going to be, was going to be at the end of this, and they would indicate that it's Harry Osborn,
Interesting.
and it would lead into that movie. But I guess that got canned because of probably because COVID changed all the timelines for everything
Well,
on
yeah.
for Marvel.
Oh, that's interesting. So now the rumors that Green Goblin's going to make an appearance, or Harry Osborn, I guess in particular, is going to make an appearance in the next Spider-Man movie.
No, yeah,
See, now that little scares me a little bit though, because we already know we have Doc Ock in Spider-Man. I guess this is going off topic, but we got Doc Ock.
that's assuming it's true.
Well, but let's assume it's true, right? So you have Doc Ock, you have um, um, was it Electro is coming back in No Way Home. There's definitely gonna be another big
Yep,
bad that is more of the main villain of that movie. And then if Green Goblin shows up, how many villains are you gonna have?
that's a good question.
It's like the same problem that Spider-Man keeps running into in his movies. They always get to a point where they bring too many villains, and then the movie sucks. Although
Yeah.
I'll give Marvel enough credit. I don't think they're gonna screw it up.
Yeah, just like the last Spider-Man trilogy, the third movie was where everything got a little bit out of hand with too many villains.
Yeah, but it is
But this
funny though,
is
right?
supposed to be a Spider-Verse type deal, and I think it'll turn out good, even with a few villains.
It's definitely gonna be a Spider Verse. I mean, there's too many rumors about different characters coming back. You know that they're all basically true at this
Oh yeah,
point. There's like ridiculous rumors, and then Alfred Molina shows up and confirms that he's in the movie. So now you know that a lot of it's true. And I don't think he was supposed to do that, by the way. I'm pretty sure he's gonna get in trouble. So I would say Captain America and the Winter Soldier was worth it. I think we both kind of agree. It almost bit off a little more than it could chew. But
Hmm.
it's another Marvel property. So the worst Marvel property is still better than a lot of what else is on TV right now.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
So all right, let's move on because I want to get to the big dog today is going to be. I want to talk to you a lot about Mortal Kombat, but briefly, I watched
Sure.
another movie this weekend that just came out, Nobody, which everyone's calling the John Wick of dad bods, essentially.
That's a good point.
So
Yeah.
now I'm just gonna flat out say I absolutely loved it. What'd you think?
Oh, I love the movie a lot. I think it's a really good movie. I hope they do a sequel, which it looks like it might lead to.
It seems like it, right at
And
the end. It looked like it.
at first, I thought this is going to be a John Wick ripoff, and it felt a little bit like that for a while. But then it kind of got I think the way the fights in this movie kind of go, it's a little more realistic, I guess, for
Hmm.
a guy who's maybe retired or like a.
Right. Oh, did I lose you for a second? I think I lost him. So, oh, you came back. I got you back.
Uh-oh.
You broke up for a second. I don't know what you said last.
Yeah.
So let me I'll just give you my opinion.
said that.
I kind of feel
Okay.
like this was what the Death Wish remake that Bruce Willis did. This is what it should have
Ah,
been. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like this felt like a much more updated version of Death Wish than the crap that he came out with.
yeah, yeah. I agree, and I think as much as I thought it was going to be a John, I was saying before, as much as I thought it was going to be a John Wick clone, it turned out to have its own character and style, and especially the style of the fights. I think
Oh
they
yeah,
were
100%.
done.
Can we talk?
Uh,
Can we talk
I,
about
I have.
Christopher Lloyd?
Oh
I'm gonna
yeah.
be perfectly honest with you here. I thought he died. I did not think he was alive. Even my wife was like, "Wait, isn't he from Back to the Future?" And I was like, "Yeah, I didn't think he was around." And not only was
I
he in the
knew he was
movie, he
alive.
was awesome.
I saw him recently in something, and I saw him. He looked about the same age as he was in this movie, so I'm guessing he's still been acting. I mean, I saw him kind of recently in something. I can't remember what,
I don't even
but he
remember.
did a
Like
great job, and he was awesome as the old grandpa
he
character.
he was great. The scene when he's like sitting there watching TV and the assassins come up and then he just grabs the gun with his finger on the hammer so the guy can't shoot him and
Yeah,
he just smiles like, oh, I mean, he was just awesome, and good for him to be walking around. I
yeah,
did read after the movie came out. I read that he after I watched the movie. I mean, I read, I think it was on IMDb, that he insisted that he hold all the guns, the shotguns at the end, and shoot him himself. He didn't want to have somebody help or a fake version of
like
the
a
gun.
stunt
He
man.
wanted to like do the thing himself. Like at his age, he's trying
That's
to do his own
cool.
stunts. I mean, it was just awesome.
Yeah,
I was so pumped to see him.
that was cool to see. I was a little worried. I thought he was gonna die at the end. Gonna kill him. I figured out if they're gonna kill somebody off, it's gonna be Christopher Lloyd or
Yeah,
something. But luckily,
like
it
he was
wasn't
gonna go out in a blaze of
the
glory,
case.
right? But it was kind of a good,
Yeah,
almost a twist ending, right? Because they all made it out of that warehouse alive. So I mean, they were beat up,
yeah,
but my favorite scene is when I think probably at the end when the cops ask him like, "Who are you?" and he says nobody, and they go, "That's not an answer," and he goes, "It's enough of an answer." And then they get the phone calls and they're like looking at him like, "What the fuck is going on here?" Like
yeah,
it was a good movie. It was definitely like it looked good in the trailers. I had read about a lot of the kind of like the practice, not the practice, the training that Bob Odenkirk did for the movie. So I was super excited
yeah.
for it. I guess my only thing is that I got so hyped up for it that when I finally watched it, I wouldn't say it was a letdown, but I guess I was expecting a little bit more. It was a great movie and I enjoyed
You
it from beginning to end, but I don't know. I guess I expected a little bit more. I don't know. Like I think the beginning, I guess, was a little too slow for me. I kind of expected it to come out of the gate flying, kind of like John Wick.
Right. I think honestly, I forgot about the movie until I saw it pop up on I don't know if it was on Hulu, Netflix, or something like that. That I or Vudu maybe, and I ended up renting it there because I forgot about the movie, and then I hadn't seen the trailers in so long that I didn't really have any like expectations.
I
So
feel
it
like
turned out to be awesome because of that.
I feel like that's a a problem of COVID, right? Like so many movies get lost in the sauce because they're jumping from theaters to
Yeah.
streaming and they're going back and forth, and it's hard to keep up. You know. But
Yep.
anyway, that was a good movie. I think if anyone hasn't watched it yet, go check it out. I think it's on Amazon Prime is where I watched it. Oh no, I watched it on Plex actually. So somebody downloaded it, bootleg.
Oh well.
But now, all right,
But yeah.
now it's
Movie.
kind of what everyone's waiting for. I'm sure people, if anyone's watching this, they're probably like, get to the point. Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
So we briefly talked about this before we got online today. Uh, just as a quick disclaimer for anyone who might listen to this, I've been playing Mortal Kombat since the very first one came out in arcades. I've been playing it at home. I remember the days like printing out the codes. I remember back before the internet existed, and like if you had the
Yep.
codes, you were like the big dog. Sean was always one of those guys. He's a big computer guru, and he was always one of those guys that always was able to get those codes. Sean and I have been going at it in Mortal Kombat forever. We have our favorite characters. And for me personally, Tekken used to be my number one game, and then slowly but surely, Mortal Kombat introduced the story modes, all the side modes. They updated the graphics and the fighting styles to be a little bit more based off of real fighting styles. They got into the lore, and I just it took over as my favorite fighting game. For me, this was obviously and clearly the best video game movie that's ever come out. That's my opinion. All right.
Okay.
I think that, and I say that because I think that the directors, the writers, everybody were trying their absolute best to capture the feeling of the games, and also to kind of like pay homage to the games. But because I'm such a fan of the game, it's hard for me to say it's a great movie, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So real quick,
I agree.
Before we get into some of the more detailed questions, what's your overall take on the movie? Oh, did I lose you again?
In the end, I was kind of disappointed too. Oh,
Okay.
we got cut off a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. You might want to start again.
I'll start over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed. And I love the Mortal Kombat series and the story modes, especially how the last 3 games have gone, has made Mortal Kombat, the games, sort of like a really long-running movie trilogy.
I agree.
And because the games have such good stories, it really hurts that this movie just couldn't really. I feel like it couldn't capture the lore and story of Mortal Kombat. That being said, it's not a bad movie.
Right.
It's just not. And I'm more disappointed because I expected a lot more out of it, especially because the trailers were really, really well done. Really well done trailers that kind of hurt, I think, the movie in the end, because now I saw a lot of the fights in the trailers and a lot of the action, a lot of the scenes that really shouldn't have been in the trailers because they ruined some things like Jax.
I couldn't agree more.
What happens to Jax in the movie.
You can spoil it. This is a full spoiler-free review, or spoilers review. So
okay.
You say whatever you want to say. If people are watching this and they haven't seen the movie yet, sign off, go watch the movie, and then check us out on YouTube when I repost the video.
Yeah, so spoiler warning, when Jax loses his arms, it's in the trailer.
Yeah.
When Sub-Zero and Scorpions, their main fight, really the only big fight for them in the movie, is like a quarter of it's in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
You see a lot of it, maybe even more, like a third or 2/3 is in the trailer.
I agree.
So you see a lot of the stuff that's really good. And then they even released a 7-minute intro piece like a couple of days early, and I watched that, and that ruined probably the best part of that movie for me. Because if I were to say one part was really good, it was the first 10 minutes of the movie, and it felt like a different movie altogether.
So it's funny you say that. So I agree. I think the trailer, it's almost like they needed the movie to do well, so they released a trailer that was unbelievable. And the trailer sold me 100% on the movie. But you know what it is? That first trailer they released, where it was like 2 minutes, I think it was, they kind of focused mostly on Sub-Zero and Scorpion's rivalry in the movie. I agree, in that trailer they still showed too much, but we didn't know Goro was going to be in it yet. We didn't see any glimpses of what Cole's power was going to be, and we didn't see Jax do the head clap yet. We just saw that he had the metal arms. That trailer alone got me so hyped for the movie. It got me hooked. We did see Sub-Zero basically freezing Jax's arms, and I remember saying in the video like that's a cool twist on how Jax loses his arms. Then they released that second trailer, and the second trailer showed Melina, showed Jax doing the head clap, showed Goro jumping to hit Cole. It showed more of the fight between Sub-Zero and Scorpion at the end. It showed more of the fight between Sub-Zero and Scorpion in the beginning, or Scorpion and the Lin Kuei. And then they released 7 minutes. I didn't watch the 7 minutes because at that point I was already feeling like there's way too much stuff here. It's so annoying. My wife just said, glad that your cough isn't coming through as loud as I can hear it downstairs. Well, I'm sorry. I'm trying not to cough too much. But yeah, so I feel like I agree with you. The trailer almost was so good that it kind of screwed the movie over a little bit. Especially for fans.
It took away some of the hype.
It absolutely did.
Yeah, especially for fans. And there was a lot of I don't want to say leaks, but people were going through the trailer and picking and finding different things. Like everybody knew Nitara was in the movie before it came out, and
why would Nitara be in the movie? Oh, all right, so we'll get to that.
I have a good excuse for that, but we'll get to that when we get to it. Almost everything in the movie was kind of figured out by fans, going over the 2 trailers and looking at shadows and little bits of the trailer, and almost everything got ruined way early. So I kind of knew a lot of stuff that was
So you all right. So you mentioned Natara being in the movie, and the second thing I have written down here is let's talk about the characters. So let's go one by
Sure.
one here. Let's just go through all the characters. We'll start with Natara since we just brought her up. In my opinion, she's one of the worst characters in MK in general. They only brought her
Yeah.
in because they needed somebody to kill, and they wanted
Yep.
somebody to kill creatively, and they didn't want it to be some like main character that they couldn't bring back later on, or some big dog that they couldn't bring back later on.
Well, I agree. I think they brought in Nitara, Reiko, just to and Reptile just to kill him,
Just to kill him.
just
Like,
to have somebody
100%.
that they could say is pretty expendable and just get rid of him.
Right. Now, so
What?
you bring up two
I'm
characters
okay
in
with.
particular. Well, you bring up two characters in
Yeah.
particular I'm okay with, Natara and Reiko. At first, when I saw that it was them, I literally at the screen was like, why the fuck would you bring Natara and Reiko in here? Like, who cares about those characters? But then, the two of them got killed in very good ways. So I said, all right, you know what?
Yeah.
Now I don't have to worry about them coming back. I'm fine with it. Reptile. So I'm a Reptile fan. I've always liked the character, but I liked him more as the humanoid kind of green ninja with like if he took the mask off his face turned into a lizard. I haven't been a huge fan of his full-blown lizard form even in the games. I feel like they're leaning too much into that. I liked him better the other way. But I agree with you. They put him in the movie just so that they can have someone do a heart rip, and it would just be, like a character that they don't have to bring back. They don't have to worry about. But you know what it is though for me? Reptile in the first Mortal Kombat movie was a surprise, number one, and his fight scene is probably the best fight scene in that movie. The music is the best music in that movie, and like just the way he comes out when you hear the announcer go Reptile, and then they start fighting with him and Liu Kang. It's such a good cheesy scene from that movie that I feel like they got to do my boy Reptile some more justice. So I wasn't a fan of the way they killed him off.
Yeah, I agree. There's maybe one silver lining is that they didn't say reptile, they said the reptilian.
Right.
Right.
And they called him something else. They gave him it was a different name he had, which I think is his real name in the games too.
Maybe, but I guess they could have another reptile if they wanted to in another movie.
So let's go through more characters.
I was okay with them killing off a few characters that were nobody characters.
Right.
Fine there, but the characters that they did have in the movie,
well,
some of them were pretty.
So that's a good point. That's a good segue. This is why I brought you on. So we're fine with them killing off the characters that were nobody characters, all right? So we agree Reptile, Natara, and Reiko were all garbage characters. How about Goro?
Yeah.
They fucking killed Goro. He's supposed to be the badass of badasses, like the most intimidating character in most of the games, and they killed him off.
Yeah.
I was so frustrated with that.
I think they were trying to do what they did in the first Mortal Kombat, is make him the big bad. That seems impossible, and then you kill him, and then that's the end of Goro.
I mean, that
we
makes
have other.
sense. I agree with that, but we didn't see him do anything that made him intimidating. You know what I mean? Like we saw his shadow walking through the door, and then the next thing you know, he's fighting Cole, and he ends up losing. And plus, if the next movie is supposed to have the MK tournament, what, you wouldn't save Goro for that? That makes no sense.
Right, exactly.
Shouldn't he be the guy that they kind of build up towards?
That there was no tournament.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. But so just to even stress even more, not only did they kill Goro, they didn't even kill him with like a good fatality. He got killed because he got uppercutted and then stabbed in the eye. Like that's not how you kill off Goro. You gave Natara the hat fan or hat saw from Kung Lao's fatality, which was amazing. You killed off Reiko with the head slap or head clap from Jax. Amazing. And you killed Reptile with the heart pull from Kano. Those are fatalities that come straight from the games that were realized in the movie perfectly. You couldn't come up with a better fatality for Goro, and I can explain why. But I want to know, how do you think he should have died?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it would have been nice if there was like maybe a pit fatality movie. I could see him falling, getting uppercut into a pit.
They put him. They put a pit in the game, in the movie. I mean, Jax and Reiko are fighting in a pit, and Jax gives him the head clap, which was cool. But how do you not knock somebody into the pit?
Yeah, not use the pit at all. That was a terrible thing.
Or better yet, Raiden could have sent Goro. Like maybe Raiden knew Cole would be a little outmatched with Goro, and I understand that Goro. I guess the whole point was that Goro was going to kill Cole's family, and that's what activated Cole's Arcana powers. which we'll talk about the
Yeah.
Arcana in a second. But like right there, Raiden, once he had his powers, Raiden should have like zapped them to like maybe what's the level with the that had that like green acid? I forget what it was called now.
The acid.
The acid pit or whatever.
I think it's called.
Maybe send them there. So if you're not gonna have Jax hit Raiko into the pit, have Cole beat Goro by knocking him into the pit. That would have been interesting. But here's why I can explain.
Cool.
What'd you say?
Sorry.
What'd you say?
I said one stage fatality would have been cool.
Would have been cool. It would have been nice, you know. Sorry, I'm trying not to cough. But I can explain to you why Goro didn't die with a good fatality. Want to know the explanation? And we're still going to stick to the characters, but I just got to say this right now because they decided to put him against the guy who got the lamest friggin' power I've ever seen in my life. Cole's power was like armor, like he could just, you know, he could take a hit.
Yeah. Well, can we talk about Cole?
Let's go to Cole because by far the worst character in the entire movie.
The main character of the movie is probably the most boring character of the movie.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And almost the most forgettable and I would say expendable character. Right. And he's basically supposed to be Takeda, who's a pretty cool character if you like Takeda and MK10, which I did.
But I was explaining this to somebody I work with because they created this character Cole as like a surrogate for the audience, right? Because we needed somebody that we can connect to that didn't know about Mortal Kombat. They could have picked Takeda. They could have picked Kung Jin. You know, they could have twisted, you know, changed those character stories from the games to have more of a history with Mortal Kombat and with Scorpion, I mean, and be a descendant of Scorpion's bloodline. And, you know, is it the same story as the games? No, but it would have made more sense. And at least it would have been a character from the games. And both of those characters have pretty cool movesets and special powers in the games. Instead, they created this new character, made him an MMA fighter, which is fine. I mean, they could have made him whatever fighting style they wanted. But for his special power to be that he gets this golden armor that can absorb energy, and then those two nightsticks, I don't know. It was just such a stupid decision. And here's what I was thinking. And I was just saying this to somebody today, to a friend of mine today. What they should have done, and this would have completely redeemed the character to me, have him, you know, go through the game, you know, the movie, whatever. You can call him Cole the whole time if you want. And tell him that, you know, maybe hint that his name's not Cole. He just wants to be called Cole for whatever reason. And then at the end, while he's fighting Goro or maybe while he's fighting Sub-Zero, he loses his eyesight. That activates his Arcana powers, and it's telekinesis, and his real name is Kenshi. And then, you know, twist ending, he's Kenshi from the games, and they just kind of, you know, change his story a little bit for the movies. Like, that would have been so much better. There's a million other decisions they could have made besides it.
There's a lot of other characters he could have been. I mean, they could have just made him Johnny Cage and just said he's Johnny Cage.
Right. I mean, I understand Johnny Cage is a white dude in the games, but he doesn't have to be a white dude in the movie. If you want him to be an Asian guy, let him be an Asian guy.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter. It's not going to ruin the movie.
An ex actor who's going into MMA because as a, you know, martial arts actor, he feels like. Or even he doesn't get the respect.
Exactly.
MMA, who knows?
I mean, Johnny Cage's whole thing in the beginning was that he needed to prove to the world that he could actually fight, right? So it would make sense if he decided to take a break from acting to pursue MMA, because in that sport you can earn the respect of the world. It would have made a lot of sense.
Yeah, and he's like Cole was, but they really, I think, for trying to create a new character, they really failed.
I agree.
That part. In that respect, and I think that is what ruined the movie for me.
No, I agree. I mean, and that was a big part of what effed the movie up for me. I mean, especially because the actor they picked, I already know he's a good actor. He was in Wu Assassins. He was in Iron Fist.
Yeah.
He's been in a whole bunch of stuff, and we also know that he's a good fighter. He knows how to fight. You know, so like, you could have put him as any other character, and it would have been fine. So what else? Let's talk about Sub-Zero and Scorpion now. What do you think of them?
All right. I think they were probably the two, well, the second and third best characters in the movie. My favorite character being Kano, but we'll get to that afterwards.
Yeah. I'll save the best for last, because let's be honest, hands down, Kano was the best character in the whole movie. So
yeah, best character in the movie. And for them to kill him off was even worse. But going back to Scorpion and Sub-Zero, I think the first, like I said before, the first 10 minutes of the movie were awesome. And the fights in that part of the movie, and even the Sub-Zero and Scorpion fight later in the movie near the end, were probably some of the best martial arts fights in the movie with
I
good
agree.
action and good style to them.
I agree.
And I love the actor who plays Sub-Zero. He was
Oh
in
yeah,
Warrior,
Joe
I think.
Taslim or Talsim, I think is how you
Joe
say it.
Taslim.
Well, even the
It's
actor who
Taslim.
plays
Yeah,
Scorpion is great too. What the heck? I can't pronounce his name well, so I won't screw it up here. But he's a phenomenal actor too.
I can't remember his name, but yeah, Joe Taslim, I love him. I mean, he's been in a lot of movies I've
Yeah,
seen. I've seen a lot of his movies from Indonesia. I think Indonesia, but
yeah.
maybe Malaysia. But
Yep.
he's a really good actor and really good martial artist. And I think they didn't even really use him to the best of their abilities, because they could have had 3 or 4 fights with him, and they only had 2 good fights and like 1 or 2 situations where he fought people who couldn't fight back, like Jax,
Right. Right.
and beat them up, as it were, and won his fights. But it was he was underutilized in those scenes.
Right.
But with him and Scorpion, I think those fights were good, and they were the best, like I said, the best actual like martial arts
Yeah.
fights in the movies. I'm a big
So I
martial arts
agree.
fan.
I definitely agree. Like, so here's for anyone who was listening and who wants to know why I'm a little disappointed with a lot of the fights in the movie. So I agree with you. The first 7 or 10 minutes, whatever it is, of the movie, where you see Scorpion basically trying to save his family and fight all the Lin Kuei, the best scene in the movie. It was kind of the most intense, the most almost like raw feeling, and the fight choreography not only was choreographed well, but it was filmed well. And from watching martial arts movies like I do, when it's an actual director who knows how to film action and has actors who know how to fight, there's not a lot of cuts. It's a lot of it's a lot of steady camera where you can see everything in frame, and you let the fighters do their thing. Jackie Chan, all his movies, when he's getting into a fight scene, the camera kind of just chills while he just does the fight, and it looks amazing. You could tell that it's actually him. It looks awesome. If you watch John Wick, any of the John Wick movies, Chad Stahelski, who directs those movies, same thing. He puts the camera far back, and you see Keanu Reeves fighting. The Matrix movies, the camera goes back, you see Lawrence Fishburne doing his thing against an agent. Like, you can go on and on with all these movies. The Raid is the same thing with Gareth Evans. Like, in this movie, you have people, this is one of the things that frustrated me the most. You have people who know how to fight, and the ones who aren't trained fighters are athletic people who trained for this movie. So let the action speak for itself. The fast editing and all that stuff just irritates the crap out of me. And besides the first fight and the last fight, that's what you had. You had a ton of quick edits between fights and between fighters, and then you just start to kind of get lost a little bit, and you just don't know who's doing what. And it really got to me in this movie because I just wanted it to be so good. The fight scenes in particular, I wanted to be so good. I got off topic actually because that's a different topic. But my mom says hi. Hi, Nanette Rose.
Hi.
So I agree with you. Scorpion and Sub-Zero were good. What's his name? Joe Taslim's already said that he's signed on for 4 movies. So he's coming back as Noob Sabat in the next movie, which I assume means excuse me, which I assume means the actor who plays Scorpion will be back also. And I also assume we're gonna get a Sub-Zero's younger brother to be the new Sub-Zero in the future movies. But that was another thing.
Right.
Just for me, going back to Cole, it would have made more sense to me if maybe his lineage was tied into the Lin Kuei and into Sub-Zero's character in particular. And, I was expecting when they first announced that it was Cole Young, that we were going to see Sub-Zero kill Scorpion. Sometime in the middle of the movie, we were going to see Scorpion kill Sub-Zero, but we were going to find out that Cole is Sub-Zero's younger brother, and he now wants revenge for his brother being killed. And then by the end of the movie, he was going to learn that it was really his brother who kind of started it all. And he was going to try and, I guess, bring honor to the Sub-Zero name and don the outfit and kind of be the new Sub-Zero. It wouldn't have made sense for him to have some new character be that, but at least it would have made more sense, and it would have made him a more interesting character in the movie.
I think so.
So let's go to some other characters. What did you think of, before we go to Kano, what did you think of Jackson Sonya?
Jax and Sonya. Now, I think Jax and Sonya were pretty good. They were pretty like game accurate, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was a cool story. I didn't like how Sonya had to really struggle the whole movie and not have not getting the Arcana or
right. That seemed a little pointless,
special
right?
And
It seemed a little pointless, right?
yeah, it seemed weird to continually just push, Sonya's got no power, Sonya's got no powers, and keep doing that for so long. And I think her acting was really good. I think
Yeah.
Jax's acting was really good. So it kind of felt weird. Jax was not in there for too long, I guess, because he was in
Right.
the early part where he lost the
He
arms.
was in
From
the
there,
White Lotus ICU.
yeah, White Lotus ICU, exactly. Then he got his little
Yeah.
tiny arms for a
He
little bit, which
he
was weird.
reminded
And
me of the
then
guy from
his
Scary
arc,
Movie. From Scary Movie 2.
yeah,
Take my strong hand.
yeah, the tiny arms.
I
But
definitely thought
then he got
he was good, but I agree with you. It was like the whole thing with Sonya trying to constantly push that she didn't have powers. It seemed kind of pointless, especially because in the newer games, they really kind of push that she's one of the stronger or more determined fighters of the entire roster.
yeah, she's one of the good main characters.
Right.
And same with Jax, but yeah, Jax. It's weird. Like I liked how Jax looked. I didn't like the explanation for him getting the arms, which is his Arcana is like technomancy, I guess.
Well,
And he grew, electronic, metallic arms over the crappy arms that they gave him, which I guess makes sense. They have to do,
I
they
don't
have to, they
know,
had to do
man.
something. But it would have been better if it was just like Raiden made him,
Right.
gave him better arms.
I mean, not to get too off
But
topic, but just talking about the Arcana real quick. I didn't hate the idea of the Arcana and it being an explanation of the way these people get their powers. I guess
yeah,
I see now. For me, that isn't a situation where the creators and writers of the movie are just overthinking it. We're all fans of the game. We're ready just to know that people can shoot fireballs from their hands. That Kung Lao can throw his hat and do whatever he wants to do with it. We didn't really need a breakdown of why that's possible. But if they have to put the breakdown in
right.
there, then fine. I'm okay with the Arcana and you're chosen and whatever. What I didn't like, though, I agree with you, is like Jax's Arcana was that his metal arms became better metal arms. Like that just was so silly. And even like again going back to Cole, his Arcana was that he developed armor. It was just such a dumb thing. I would have made more sense if maybe Jax got his arms broken or ripped off or whatever. The military made him these metal arms, and the Arcana maybe gave him the power to shoot. Doesn't he has like a projectile in the game? Give him the power to shoot that
Yeah,
projectile from his arms, or give him the power to like
sure.
punch down on the ground and cause the shockwave. Like that would have made more
Yeah,
sense. Not that his arms just get a
yeah.
little bigger, like or more metal. It just that was silly to me.
A quick note I didn't get a chance to say before that I remembered. In the beginning of the movie, Cole's, I don't know if it was his trainer or his friend or whatever. In the beginning, he says, basically saying Cole is a punching bag. I think that was foreshadowing his Arcana, which would be that he's basically a punching bag.
Yeah,
Except that
yeah.
once he
I
gets
guess
punched enough, he
that
can shoot it
was.
back.
I just
Yeah,
thought that was stupid. Like it's like ever since Black Panther gave T'Challa the suit that can absorb kinetic energy and then he can release it when he wants. It's like to me, I feel like the
yeah,
writers were like, "Oh, that's a cool idea. Let's do that in this movie," and I just hated
yeah,
it. All right. So how
yeah.
about let's talk about what do you think of Raiden and Shang Tsung in this movie in particular?
Oh, yeah. That's a tough topic. Shang Tsung. I'll start with Shang Tsung. Terrible, terrible Shang Tsung.
Now,
He
why
almost
though?
he did almost nothing, and his whole like he was such a better character back when Hiroyuki Tagawa played him in the original
Yeah,
1995 Mortal Kombat. He had so much character and charisma, and it just felt
yeah,
like he was. I mean, it was a little Enter the Dragon type of island thing where he held the tournament, and I kind of wish they did that here because the way they did Shang Tsung in this movie, he didn't feel powerful, he
right,
didn't feel cool, he didn't have any like real character to him. He just felt like a boring bad guy
right.
who's just sitting back and letting everybody do their thing, and obviously cheating, which is good. I mean, he
Yeah.
should be doing that, and that's a Shang Tsung staple for him to like try to cheat to win in the last tournament.
You know
But
what? You know what would have fixed him?
he was,
Because I agree. I
well,
just feel like he didn't do much. I don't. The actor's a great actor, and I didn't hate his look. But so they showed him stealing Kung Lao's soul. So that's nice. It was a cool scene when he did that. But I feel like the same way in the Snyder Cut, Steppenwolf was a much more intimidating villain once we saw him kind of getting broken down to verbally by Darkseid and Desaad and all that stuff. They should have shown Shang Tsung talking to Shao Kahn through a hologram or whatever they wanted to do, but kind of show that he's basically under some sort of pressure to kind of deliver the goods. I feel like it would have made his character, you would have seen him acting all big and tough with Raiden, but we all would have known that he's really just, scared of his boss. And it just would have made him a more interesting character. The way it was now, I agree. He didn't do anything. And the soul stealing was nice, but that was only one example of something he could do. He never seemed that powerful besides that. Whereas Raiden, I thought, didn't fight and didn't really get involved too much, but he held more of an aura of like, if I get involved, I'm going to fuck all you guys up. So, I'm just going to stand back. You know what I mean? And that to me was more, I think, what they were going for with Shang Tsung and saving those two characters for the next movie.
Yeah, I think Raiden now, going on to Raiden as opposed to Shang Tsung, I think Raiden was a better character than Shang Tsung, and he worked better, but there were huge plot holes with his powers. Like he was able to transfer bad guys and good guys away from, teleport people away, and he didn't use his powers, at the right times, it seemed like.
Yeah.
There was example when Kung Lao was getting the soul taken away by Shang Tsung. Couldn't Raiden have just taken him back and just teleport him somewhere else?
Right.
Shang Tsung would have not been able to take his soul. Or I don't know, he's supposed to be the protector of Earthrealm and the guide, the guide for the Earthrealm fighters. But he didn't guide anybody, it seemed, except for Liu Kang and Kung Lao, and only
Cole, I guess,
in
a little
season,
bit, right?
We were just told that he trained them, and we didn't get to see any of their training.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
He had his own temple, I guess, or like a hidden place for them to all, congregate and hide and train together. And he let everybody just find it on their own, find it on their own.
Yeah.
Cole and the gang and Sonya and Jax, they had no idea that Raiden existed or where to find Raiden. But then you have Liu Kang and Kung Lao walking through the desert looking for other fighters, and Raiden can find them and teleport them. Why not just teleport them all to him?
It's funny you bring that up because I thought the same thing. It's like the tournament, this big tournament that's the final chance for Earth to defend itself is like, 3 months away. And instead of like just getting the fighters and bringing them there, he's kind of just like chilling and just. I guess the whole point was supposed to be let him
figure it out. Okay?
Yeah, I guess it's like his way of letting the fighters become, who they're meant to be, but it didn't come off that way. I agree with you. It was inconsistent. I also thought it was like his powers looked cool, but the whole scene when he tried to teleport a few characters, then Sub-Zero was able to stop the one guy by just hitting him with an ice ball. It was kind of like I thought his teleportation was instant. So. And then even at the end when he's teleporting everyone to go one-on-one, it just wasn't clear. It looked like he sent some people to Outworld, but I don't know if they're following this in the movies, but in the games, his powers don't work in Outworld. So, there was no explanation as to where that pit was. Like, just these random places showed up, and it was kind of like, well, can you tell me where we are right now? So that was a little...
Yeah, that was a little confusing near the end where everybody was doing their own tournament and having one-on-one fights. It was a little confusing.
So, now, and then the last two characters before I move on to the next thing is Liu Kang and Kung Lao. What do you think of those characters?
I think, looks-wise and kind of fighting style-wise, Liu Kang and Kung Lao were perfect replicas for their game characters. They were really good. Kung Lao, his entrance was probably one of the best entrances in a movie or game related movie ever. I mean, him coming out of the ground with the hat, the little teleport he did, and the little flip. That was awesome. Probably one of the best.
It was definitely
movie. Just a little.
That was a good surprise. When I saw that, I literally was like, "Wow, that was awesome." I was not expecting him to put teleporting in there. And then his hat saw fatality was just. It wasn't one of the fatalities I thought was going to be in the movie, and when it happened, I was like cheering at the screen.
Yeah, I was glad they did that fatality, and same thing. Liu Kang, his having the fireballs and actually using them, and they look good. He looked good as Liu Kang. He kind of looked like a younger Liu Kang or
Yeah.
something, maybe like what he looks like in the current game in MK11.
Right. I agree.
So that was pretty cool. It's hard to like forget Robin Shu from the original movie, and
Robin Shaw was probably
he's like Liu Kang.
one of the best cast characters in the original movie.
Yeah. So it kind of sucks to not see him in there again, but it would have been nice to have him in there as a guest starring, even play like Raiden or something. But
Oh, that would have
they
been
didn't do
cool.
that. That would have been.
Him as Raiden would have been pretty
But
badass, I think.
yeah, I think Liu Kang was okay. I think he was underutilized again because he really didn't do that much in the movie in the grand scheme of things. And Kung Lao, him dying was,
Yeah. Well,
too bad because they had a cool looking character. But
so
it's
speaking
okay.
of that,
They got to.
I do think he's coming back. So in the newer games, they introduced the Revenants, which were like the dark, possessed versions of these heroes. So I noticed that if you notice at the end of the movie, when Shang Tsung's all upset because all his lieutenants died, he basically warps them all back into what I think is the Outworld, and he takes Liu Kang's body too, or Liu Kang's body disappears also. So I feel like he's gonna possess him or do what he has to do, and he'll be back in the next movie as a villain, as a Revenant.
Come on.
Yeah, that's what I think. I like them both. I thought they were both good. I think one of my favorite moments in the movie was when Liu Kang was spamming the sweep. That cracked me up. And then going on to the best character, Kano. Well, let me preface it by saying the best character was Kano and Cabal, because I thought Cabal was funny as shit too. He wasn't in the movie for nearly as long, but his like New York kind of like I don't give a shit kind of swagger was like perfect for the character.
Yeah, I like that, and he had the speed moves, and they did a good job of showing that without having any type of slow motion type of deal thing, like we've been seeing with the MCU characters, Quicksilver.
Which I thought was a good idea.
They actually did it.
Like I thought it was a good idea not to show it in slow motion, like let him just be fast.
Yeah, let's do the slow mo thing anymore. And he did some cool moves when he's fighting Liu Kang, and it looked cool. But I do feel like they underutilized Cabal. Also, he was just like he was only in there for a short amount of time, and he had some cool lines, but not really that spectacular a character.
It also feels like too when you have a character with super speed in any property in Marvel and DC and whatever, like super speed is one is like how could anyone really beat that if you're that fast? You know what I mean? I feel like that's why they kind of killed him off in this movie, and who knows if they'll bring him back because it's like he becomes way too powerful. You can't. No one can really beat him if you can't catch him. So the way he died was fine. That he got stuck in the tar and stuff, but
well, I think that's why you have Liu Kang. Liu Kang is supposed to be a bit smarter than Cabal, and that's why he stuck him in the tar and with the giant flame dragon.
Speaking of just Liu Kang being smarter, I thought his bicycle kick in this movie looked way better than the one in the original.
Yes, it did.
But again,
it looked a lot better.
Again, in that scene though, it kind of the bicycle kick comes out of nowhere, and all I keep thinking is, how did Cabal not see it coming? You're super fast, just run away, just move. But that was.
I will say, I think Cabal is not like Speedster in your Marvel movies or in your DC movies. I think he's not meant to be like always thinking super fast. He's just able. His Arcana, mind you, it's just Arcana. His Arcana is just being able to do something fast. Maybe it's just like a single movement or whatever.
True. So I guess like
I don't think
he doesn't have fast reactions. He can just move fast.
Right.
Okay.
So maybe he just didn't react, and it was too late by the time he did react.
That makes sense. I did think.
But Kano.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Kano is hilarious. He's the comic relief. He's the audience surrogate kinda, and he really makes the movie. I mean, if I were to ask for one thing in the second movie, it would be more Kano.
Yeah, 100%.
And Kano feels like a pretty Kano in this movie almost. And it sucks that he might be dead. Although I have some theories that he could still be alive.
Mm-hmm.
But so Kano is what made the movie for me. In any case, I mean, he was the funniest character, and his lines, his delivery on his lines, everything he did in the movie was just hilarious.
So I agree, and I feel like one of the mistakes this movie made compared to the original is that it took itself a little too seriously. Besides Kano was making the jokes, and even Cabal were like just had this attitude of like, yeah, I know I'm in some crazy movie, so it's like I'm not gonna take it seriously. My favorite line in the movie, and excuse my language, but is when he's getting all angry and then he finally gets his laser eye, and I love how he switches from being pissed off to just like super excited, like he's like got a laser eye. And my favorite line in the whole movie is once he realizes that he got the laser eye, he hits Liu Kang and goes, "Better than a fireball, you pussy!" Like that just cracked me up so much. Everything he said was pretty funny, I thought, and I will say though, and I don't understand why they didn't do this. Why wouldn't they give him the metal plate? Like that's like an iconic look for him. He has the metal plate with the red eye.
I'll just go right into it then. I think Kano might still be alive. Yeah, he lost the Mortal Kombat, well, the dragon symbol or the dragon 2 or whatnot. He lost that to Sonya, but I think he's still alive. And I think what they're going to do now is maybe because he got the eye, he got shot through the eye basically.
No, the gnome. She stabbed him in the eye with the gnome.
Oh, that's what it was. Yes. So I think what's going to happen is they're going to show him alive in the next movie, and that's how he's going to get that metal plate.
You know what? That's actually. So they said that.
Have robotic.
So they said in the movie that you if you kill somebody who has that tattoo or that brand or whatever it is, birthmark, that it transfers over to whoever killed you. But I guess you're right. They never number one, they never really showed him dead. They just showed the tattoo switching. And they never they never said that you can't be revived. Like maybe he died for like his heart stopped for a second. The tattoo switches and then his heart kicks back in, or he gets grabbed by black what the hell is his gang? He said it 4 times.
Oh, the Black Dragon.
Black Dragon. Maybe he gets grabbed by a Black Dragon member and revived, and then they give him the metal plate. I mean, that could be. And instead of maybe he loses the power, and they develop the technology to give him the laser eye with the metal plate for the next movie.
Yeah, that would be that's an idea. I thought the same thing. He wouldn't have the power anymore, but they give him the he tells them to give him a laser beam for the eye.
Because he had it for a second and he can't go without it. That could be. Right. You know what? So that I'm gonna choose to believe that.
I'm hoping that happens if they do a sequel. Assuming they do a sequel, I don't know how well the movie did.
It did well. No, I was reading it beat out narrowly. It beat out all the other releases for the weekend.
Okay.
So I mean, the plan I think is for them to do 4 movies. So
I think they had laid good groundwork. It's just that this movie was not as good as I really wanted, or at least was pretty disappointing in the end.
So I don't disagree with that. I do think so. Now, one of the last things that one of the last topics was basically how it could have been better, and I'll just flat out say I think that number one, they focused too much on setting up future stories. It was cool to see an image of Nightwolf. It was cool to see Kotal Khan and Motaro, Shao Kahn, like all that stuff was good fan service. Even seeing like Shinnok's amulet, all that stuff was cool and interesting to see. But to me, it was like stop focusing on what could be and just give me a good movie now, which I feel like they didn't do.
Yeah.
Or
I think
I said, it was a good movie. I don't think it was a bad movie, but it just as a fan of the game, it's hard for me to separate that from just being a fan of movies. And they could have done so much better, I think. And then I also think the movie was rushed. Like, so it was a 2-hour movie overall. Like I think almost 2 hours. But you had the beginning was amazing. The first, say, 15 minutes or so was awesome. Then the middle part slows down a lot, but I mean, it keeps you engaged a little bit. But then when they get into the final fight, like the final fight scenes, I should say, it was fine that the heroes like lost that first battle, and then they somewhat quickly came up with a strategy. They executed the strategy. Then we're on to Cole fighting Sub-Zero. Then suddenly Scorpion shows up. The fight's over, and it was like the last half hour of the movie like went by so fast. I feel like they should have added another 15 minutes or so, and just let some of the fights breathe a little bit. Let them like. I didn't like. Here's exactly what I'm talking about. I didn't like when they all separated and were fighting everyone one-on-one. That it was cutting between fights. Ooh, shit.
Yeah.
Like let me see the one fight, switch over to another fight. Kind of like the original Mortal Kombat did. Like why? Like you would see Cole, fighting Sub-Zero a little bit, then all of a sudden cut to, or not Sub-Zero, fighting Goro. Then cut to Jax fighting Rico, and cut to Sonya fighting Kano, and then cut back to Jax fighting Rico, and it was like Just focus on one thing. Slow it down a little bit.
Yeah, I think they could have edited those fights better in that. Yeah, just like you said, they could have had one fight, finish the fight, and
Right.
then go on to the next fight and finish that fight, and go on
Right.
to the third or last fight and finish that fight. Do them one at a time, and really settle in on the fights, and give you a good fight scene
Right.
that lasts, like in a video game. Like they should have given you a full round,
Right.
if you will,
Right.
or
Technically, yeah.
full match
I guess
at a time.
maybe that's what they were
But
going for. Is like
do that.
round one was the first fight scene, the first fight where they were in that like sand temple, whatever pit, and then round two
Sure.
was them going 1-on-1 in the different arenas. So I guess that's what they were going
Yeah,
for, but I don't think it landed. I think they could have made the movie 2 hours and 15 minutes or so and added another 20, 30 minutes to the movie to really like let us kind of just enjoy the action and the build up.
I think they could have cut away a lot of the explanation for Cole's character, like when he was UFC MMA fighting in the beginning, and some of the middle parts of the movie with Cole's family. I think a lot of that could have been trashed and made the end fights longer, and maybe that would
I
have
agree.
made the movie a little bit better.
I
I don't
agree.
think we needed all that exposition for a
And
new character. Understandably, you want some exposition, but I don't think it was really necessary because the character really wasn't,
right.
interesting.
Well, you know what's funny? So now that you say that, they could have easily cut out that first fight scene with Cole in the MMA ring. You could have
Yeah.
basically had a quick conversation with his sister and the trainer or the gym owner, whatever that was, and made a few jokes about like, oh, like you're just a punching bag. Then have him like kind of wrap his hands up, walk out, cut to the fight's over, and just a kind of a quick line about how he went the distance even though he was outmatched so much because he just knows how to take a beating and he has a lot of heart and doesn't want to give up. Then you
Hmm.
skip to then you get to the score when Sub-Zero attacks them in the street, and in that scene you show him kind of try to fight to save his family, but in that scene you show him take a beating and kind of just keep getting up, and then you like you said you can get to the end and give those fights a lot more time, and at that point we're already now we understand that this guy is not going to go down without a fight, especially when it comes to protecting his family. And then when Goro's about to kill his wife and
Right.
kid, it almost like hits home a little bit more that he's desperate to defend them, and then the armor comes, and
Right.
you know it would have been a
Yeah.
bit better
There you go.
paced that way. I feel like.
I think so. Yeah.
Now they did say, and the creators and stuff said that if they do a second one, they're gonna put it's basically leading. The second one's gonna be the tournament. So to your
Right.
point before, you said how that a problem with this movie was that there was no tournament. I feel like, and I said this to you. I think I texted you this once. What like Mortal Kombat could easily be a big shared universe. They could have had a movie specifically about Sub-Zero and Scorpion, a movie specifically about Raiden, Liu Kang, and Kung Lao, a movie
Oh,
specifically about
sure.
Sonya, Jax, and Kano. You introduce all these characters in their own movies or even their own TV shows if they wanted to do that, and have them all converge at the Mortal Kombat tournament, and that could have been like the big event movie, and we could have been so amped for that movie. I pray that
Oh, yeah.
somebody at Warner Brothers hears me and watches this video and goes, you know what, that's a good idea. Let's do that.
That that would definitely have been nice. I think that would have worked pretty well. I mean, you have a special forces movie, like you said, with Sonya Jackson Kano. You have
Right.
uh, the Liu Kang, Kung Lao, and Raiden movie, which is what's the game?
What
Shaolin Monks
Shaolin
movie.
Monks, yeah. And
Right.
you
And
have
it's
Raiden.
so
You can have Raiden
and
in there. You
Scorpion
can
movie.
have other ninjas show up in that movie if you want, or even if you do a movie
Sure.
with just focused on Sub-Zero and Liu Kang and Scorpion and their groups. You can bring in Smoke. You can bring in Reptile. You can bring in all these other fighters, Ermac and whatever, and like just kind of hint at this bigger world in each of those movies, and then the Mortal Kombat movie comes, and it's all the heroes from each movie showing up, the main villains from each movie showing up, and like then you have like
Yeah,
you can have your action in each movie, but then you have your big fights in this big team up movie.
that would have been better. And I think since they already scheduled themselves out to do 4 movies, that would have been a great 3
Right,
movies and a final fourth movie, which is like your Avengers,
right,
big team up movie. You get the tournament. But
right. The moment they said
uh,
they were gonna do 4 movies, I kind of thought to myself like, or they were gonna do multiple movies. I thought to myself, this could be what I've wanted my whole life. But now they have one movie. They're gonna go right into the Mortal Kombat tournament in the next movie, and I guess the idea is at the end of that movie they'll go right into an MK2 or 3 kind of style thing where Shao Kahn is like kind of attacking Earth and they have to defend them or whatever.
well, Well, I wonder because this movie does really, you already lost Goro, so your big bad in the next movie would have to be what, Kintaro or Motaro, so that goes into MK2 or MK3
Right.
already.
Right.
I think at Mortal Kombat 1, the first tournament was this movie. I don't think they can do a Mortal Kombat 1 tournament. I think the next movie would have to be
You're right.
Shao Kahn invading Earth because he lost
Right.
and saying, screw it, I'm just going to invade Earth, and then you have another tournament. I'm not sure how they would even do a tournament at that
I don't
point.
know. I mean, they did hint at, so like I said before, we saw Shinnok's amulet, so they hinted at Shinnok as an elder god. We saw Katana's fan, so she's probably going to be in the next movie. They did show a shadow in one of the images. It looked like a Motaro, so I guess, to your point, they might have him as like the big monster of the next movie.
Yeah.
They can always bring Reptile back or another person of his race or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
You can bring back some of the people who died as Revenants, but they have a million other characters. I hope they don't really bring back Revenants. I'd rather them just kind of
Well, they
open the door for other characters.
have a huge roster of characters to
Right.
work with, but the main characters from Mortal Kombat 1, they're all kind of done now except for Johnny Cage,
Right.
which at least they kind of hinted at Johnny Cage coming into the next movie. And hopefully they'll get a good actor in there to play him and actually be as fun or as
Right.
funny as Kano, maybe.
They're going to need to, right? If they don't bring Kano back, they're going to need to have him kind of bring the funny, because otherwise everyone else is taking it very seriously. So
You need Johnny Cage. Johnny Cage is kind of the player audience surrogate in Mortal Kombat 9, 10, and 11.
right. No,
So
he is.
they get the same thing in the movie.
Yeah. So
He's the guy who's, well, I don't know what the heck's going on. This is crazy, and everybody else is just going along with everything. And that's another problem I had with the movie: how everybody was just cool with arcanas and powers
right.
pretty quickly.
Well,
Nobody looked at it and said this is ridiculous, except for Kano.
What's funny though is that
Kano's the only
that's a good point though. But Kano, he questioned it, but was also like, he's just such like a kid in a candy store. He was like, wait a minute, I can shoot fireballs. That's awesome. Like, just let me just do this, And it made sense for his character to just like jump all in, But you're right. Everyone else was like, oh, this guy shoots fireballs out of his hands. Oh, that's cool. It's just like
yeah. Everybody was fine with it. Even when Goro showed up, nobody was really like. There's a four-armed giant,
right.
Supposedly dragon god, and nobody. I mean, even Cole's wife and kid. I guess wife and kid.
Right.
They were scared or startled by it, but they didn't seem all that terrified. I mean, the wife ran the car into Goro like
right.
Like it was a horror movie. It was like a big King Kong type character that they've seen before. It's not nothing out of the ordinary. Let's just run a car into him, and no one was really panicked or scared. It was just like it seemed odd.
What was funny to me is
Goro
that
was.
it's like they were almost more surprised that it was snowing in July than somebody could control ice and shoot like icicles at them.
Right, yeah.
Like that's, it's just a good point to make. I didn't even think of that actually, and they really didn't react at all to any of the weirdness that was going on. Even when they saw Cole develop just random armor and take a beating, and then all of a sudden he formed those two nightsticks, there was never like a question of like how the hell did you do that?
And his daughter was like, cool suit, Dad.
Yeah.
Like not like how the hell did you just grow that out of nowhere?
I guess that was the writer's way of not taking it too seriously, but I don't know.
I guess.
But so we've kind of yapped on for a long time now. So overall, I think it was, like I said, the best video game movie that's come out, but it could have been way better.
Do you think so? Did you see Monster Hunter? Maybe that would be better.
I did not watch Monster Hunter yet. I saw it's available, so I'm going to watch it. I heard it was terrible.
I heard it was bad.
Well, for me, the best video game movies that we've seen, Silent Hill 1 wasn't a great movie, but as far as a video game adaptation, it's up there. It was pretty close. Like it felt a lot like the game. I felt like,
yeah,
the first original Mortal Kombat from 1995 is up there, and I mean that's really it. Every other video game movie kind of sucks. Like, well, now if you're counting, I guess Sonic the Hedgehog is probably up there. So I would probably say that's maybe the best video game movie. And then this is
that's
the
best video game.
Yeah. And then this
doesn't follow the game
per
se, but that is the best.
Well, because that one I think feels a lot like the character come to life. So I would say
real quick, how would you rank like your fighting game movies? You got Street Fighter the movie, which was horrible, but so bad it's good.
Yeah,
Got the original Mortal Kombat, which is great. The second Mortal Kombat movie, which is also so bad, it's kind of good. It's a guilty pleasure of mine. I like watching it
it
just
is. I just
just
watched
just
it
to
the other
make
day,
fun.
actually. Yeah. I agree with that. I
Um,
mean, I think if I'm ranking like the fighting movies, so like the Dead or Alive movie is for a fighting game movie is pretty good.
Sorry.
The Dead or Alive is a pretty good fight like movie video game adaptation for a movie. I would say if you're looking at fighting games. Um,
Yeah.
I don't. The Tekken movie was garbage. I just hated it so much. I didn't think it was that good at all.
I like some of the fight scenes in the second movie, like Lateef Crowder, who's a capoeira
Right. Well,
uh, uh, actor. He did a really good job playing
yeah.
Eddie Gordo, which I didn't see coming.
Well, he was born to play
But
Eddie
yeah,
Gordo, really. Um,
yeah, really,
I still think I would rank this above all of them. If you're talking just fighting game movies, I think this Mortal Kombat
including
would feel better.
comment.
Yeah, only because it's rated R. You know what I mean? If the original Mortal Kombat
Yeah,
was even PG-13 and just allowed it to really be, or it was PG-13, but if it was just if it pushed the envelope a little bit and just got a little bit more violent, then that would kind of easily beat this one. But I think because this one really embraced the gore and the violence and the rated R-ness of it all, I would put this one over that
yeah.
one. But it's close though. The original one and this one are close, I would say.
Do you think story-wise, if you took away the fatalities, wouldn't this movie just not be anywhere near as good as the first
Yeah,
Mortal Kombat? That's
yeah, I can't really
I think
disagree with that.
without the gore, like Jax losing his arms and the fatalities we saw, like Kung Lao's fatality, which was awesome in this movie. I think without that kind of stuff, which is good, and that's one of the good points in the movie. I think the first Mortal Kombat movie trumps this by far, and I think even with everything included, I think the first Mortal Kombat movie definitely is better than this one, in my opinion.
I mean, it's close. It's close. The first one definitely understood its audience better, I think, and
Yeah.
overall just didn't take itself too seriously. And I think this one tries to take itself a little too seriously, which is why I think Kano
Mm-hmm.
stands out so much because he clearly knew where what he was getting himself into. The actor did, I mean. But I don't know.
Right.
I think I enjoyed it enough, and the fact that this one is going to lead, hopefully will lead to sequels, and each sequel is just going to improve. I still think I would give this one the edge over the original.
Okay. I'm hoping that the next three, if they do three more movies, are going to be better. I read or I heard that this was the director's first movie or first big movie.
Right. It was the first like major
So
Hollywood movie.
right, so at least there's a chance that he grows from this, and over the next couple of years, if he does other movies besides Mortal Kombat, maybe he'll everything will just get better in general.
Right.
Maybe it'll just be a better director. We'll get better movies.
Right.
I hope so.
Well, Sean, thank you for taking over an hour to talk about these movies with me, and thank you for getting deep into Mortal Kombat. If there are
You're welcome.
sequels, then we'll be talking about those too. And I will have you back
Yeah.
for future movies and TV shows. I think the next big Marvel movie is not until June, right? It's the Loki show comes out in June. So maybe
Loki's
we'll
June
have you on
11th,
here. And then Black Widow
and
comes out in
Black
July.
Widow.
Black Widow's July
July,
9th, I
okay.
believe. So we got a little bit of time. And then
Yeah.
at some point in the summer, the What If show comes out, which I'm excited for.
Yeah, I'm excited for that too.
And then I'm really excited for Shang-Chi. So, but that's not until September.
Yeah, that's a way off too.
All right, man. Thank you so much, and we'll see you back here on the show for a future episode.
Great, thanks.